Have you ever wondered if it is possible to have everything you could ever want and yet lose the only thing that actually matters? Before we dive into the profound lessons of King Solomon, please take a moment to subscribe and join our community if you are seeking a deeper connection with the divine, as your journey towards spiritual growth is why we share these reflections. King Solomon remains one of the most intriguing figures in human history because he represents the ultimate paradox of the human experience. He was a man who possessed wisdom that eclipsed the greatest thinkers of his time, wealth that defied imagination, and a kingdom that spanned the horizon of the ancient world. Yet as we look at his life, we are forced to ask a difficult question that resonates with anyone striving for success today. Can our earthly achievements actually become the walls that block our view of God? Solomon started his reign with a prayer that moved the heart of the Creator, but as the years passed, the silence between him and God grew wider. This is the story of how a man who was given the keys to the kingdom almost lost his soul to the glitter of his own success. To understand Solomon, we must first transport ourselves back to the high places of Gibeon. Imagine a young, trembling king, burdened by the heavy mantle of leadership left behind by his father David. He knows he is inadequate for the task. The weight of millions of lives rests on his shoulders. In that quiet, vulnerable moment, God speaks to him in a dream and offers him anything his heart desires. This is the moment that defines his legacy. Solomon does not ask for the heads of his enemies, nor does he ask for a long life or riches. He asks for wisdom to lead God's people with justice. God is so pleased with this selfless request that he grants Solomon not only the wisdom he sought, but also the riches and honor he never asked for. This is our first lesson. When we prioritize the mission God has placed before us rather than our own comfort, the blessings that follow are a natural byproduct, not the primary goal. Solomon was a steward, but over time, the steward began to view himself as the master. As we progress through the decades of Solomon's rule, we see the transition from a king who built altars to a king who built monuments to himself. The construction of the temple was a magnificent act of devotion, a physical manifestation of his early love for the Almighty. However, as the empire expanded, so did the distractions. The didactic reality of human nature is that prosperity is often a more dangerous test than adversity. When you are suffering, you cry out to God because you have nowhere else to turn. When you have everything, a palace of cedar, gold-laden chariots, and the admiration of every visiting dignitary, you begin to feel as though you have achieved these things by your own hand. This is the subtle trap of success. Have you ever noticed how your prayer life changes when life is going exactly according to plan? We often move from a posture of dependency to one of maintenance. Solomon began to marry foreign wives to build political alliances and incorporated foreign customs. He thought he was wise enough to manage these influences, believing he could incorporate foreign customs without losing his own identity. This is a vital warning for anyone walking a path of faith. We often think we are strong enough to dip our toes into the world without being affected by it. We justify small compromises by telling ourselves they are for the greater good or for the sake of peace and stability. Solomon believed he was building an empire, but in reality, he was building a labyrinth of his own making, a maze of traditions and influences that slowly obscured the straight path toward the Lord. The scripture tells us that his heart was not fully devoted to the Lord his God, unlike the heart of his father David. Think about that for a moment. It does not say Solomon stopped believing. It does not say he stopped performing the rituals or building the temples. It says his heart was not fully devoted. This is the most dangerous state for any believer, the state of divided loyalty. It is the life of someone who keeps God in the living room while allowing idols to take over the rest of the house. Solomon's wisdom, which was meant to be a light to the nations, became a commodity. He became a man who solved problems for others while his own spiritual house was crumbling. He spent his days calculating taxes, trade routes, and military strategies. His prayers became infrequent, transactional, and detached. He had forgotten the young man in Gibeon who knew that he was nothing without God's guidance. The tragedy of Solomon is not that he was a villain, but that he was a man who grew distracted by the very blessings he had prayed for. He became a cautionary tale that we can analyze through our own lives today. Do you spend more time managing your success than nurturing your spirit? Are you more concerned with the legacy you are leaving for the world than the legacy of faith you are cultivating in your private, quiet moments with God? Solomon eventually recognized the hollowness of his accomplishments. In the book of Ecclesiastes, often attributed to his later years, he looks back at his life of indulgence, wisdom, and labor, and he concludes that it is all vanity, like chasing after the wind. He realized that the happiness he sought through his achievements was always just out of reach. He sought fulfillment in buildings, in gardens, in wine, and in the company of the world. But he found that the only thing that could satisfy the human spirit was a return to the fear of God and the keeping of his commandments. This brings us to the moment of potential restoration. Even though Solomon had drifted, he was never beyond the reach of God's grace. The narrative of his life ends not with a final rejection, but with a call to return to the basics. The lesson for us is clear. No matter how high we climb on the ladder of success, we can always climb back down to the foot of the cross. We do not need a throne to be heard by God. We only need a humble and contrite heart. Consider your own life as you listen to this. Have you allowed the busy nature of your work, your family, or your personal ambitions to crowd out the time you set aside for the divine? Have you traded your intimacy with the Creator for the temporary security of your own bank account or reputation? These are questions that demand an honest, silent answer. The story of Solomon is not just about a king who lost his way. It is about the grace of a God who waited for him to come back. God allowed the consequences of Solomon's choices to ripple through the kingdom, yet he remained the God of David, the God of the covenant, and the God who remembers his promises even when we forget ours. When we look at our own struggles, the times when we feel disconnected, the moments where we feel our faith is shrinking in the face of modern pressures, we must remember that the path back to God is always open. It starts with a single step of acknowledging our need for him, just as the young Solomon did in Gibeon. We must stop trying to lead our lives with our own limited wisdom and start asking once again for the discernment that only comes from above. We should also reflect on the impact of our choices on those around us. Solomon's influence affected an entire nation, and our choices affect our families, our workplaces, and our communities. When we prioritize our connection with God, we create a ripple effect of peace and righteousness. When we prioritize our own vanity, we create an environment where the spiritual growth of others is hindered. This is why our devotion must be genuine. It cannot be for show. It cannot be a performance. It must be a living, breathing relationship that dictates our decisions, our thoughts, and our actions. Solomon's failure was that he allowed the world to influence him more than he influenced the world for God. We live in a world that is obsessed with the external, with tangible results and immediate gratification. The spiritual journey, however, is internal and requires patience. It requires us to slow down when the world says speed up. It requires us to listen when the world says shout. It requires us to remain faithful when the world says it is time to compromise. Think about the most difficult challenge you are facing right now. Is it a financial burden? Is it a strained relationship? Is it a feeling of emptiness despite having reached your goals? In all these cases, the solution remains the same: a return to the foundational truth that God is our provider, our guide, and our source of meaning. Solomon had to lose his reliance on himself to find his reliance on God again. Perhaps the challenges you are facing are invitations to do the same. Maybe the success you have achieved is not the destination, but a platform to serve others and honor the one who gave you the strength to achieve it. Let us briefly summarize the path we have walked together in this reflection. We began by looking at the humble king who sought wisdom as his highest goal. We then saw how his success became a source of pride and distraction, leading him into the dangerous territory of divided loyalty. We saw how his heart became hardened by the very things that were meant to be blessings, and how he eventually recognized the vanity of a life lived apart from the total devotion to God. This cycle is one that we all face in different ways. The goal of this story is not to condemn Solomon, but to learn from him. We are to be inspired by his early devotion and warned by his later complacency. We are to see the goodness of God through every detail of the account, the goodness that gave, the goodness that warned, and the goodness that remained present even when the king was far away. As you go about your week, try to apply this perspective to your daily schedule. When you feel overwhelmed by your responsibilities, pause and ask yourself if you are acting as a steward of God's kingdom or a king of your own little empire. When you are tempted to compromise your values, remember the cost of compromise that Solomon paid. When you are tempted to rely on your own strength, remember the young king at Gibeon, who knew that wisdom was a gift, not an invention. We grow spiritually by small, deliberate choices. We grow by choosing prayer over panic, by choosing humility over pride, and by choosing God's perspective over our own limited vision. This is the essence of a life lived in harmony with the divine. As we reach the conclusion of this reflection, it is important to realize that your journey does not end when the video stops. The lessons we discuss here are meant to be lived out in the reality of your daily life. The wisdom of Solomon is available to us, but it is not a static treasure to be kept in a vault. It is a dynamic force that must be put into practice. If you have felt a distance between yourself and God, do not be discouraged. Use this feeling as a prompt to start a new conversation with Him. Start by acknowledging your need for His presence. Tell Him where you feel stuck. Ask for the clarity to see your life through His eyes. The tragedy of Solomon is only a tragedy if we refuse to learn from it. For us, every day is an opportunity to rewrite our own narrative in union with the Almighty. We have the benefit of hindsight, something Solomon did not have in the same way. We see the trajectory of his life, and we have the chance to choose a different path, a path of consistent, humble, and undivided devotion. This is the greatest success anyone can ever achieve. It is not measured in gold or land, but in the peace that passes understanding and the joy of knowing that we are walking in the center of God's will. Think of the people in your life who have inspired you. Often, the people who have the greatest impact are not the ones with the most wealth or the most power, but the ones who live with a quiet, steady, and unshakable faith. They are the ones who have learned the secret that Solomon eventually rediscovered, that everything is vanity except for our love for God and our service to His people. We want to thank you for spending this time in reflection. We hope that the story of King Solomon has shed light on your own path and provided the encouragement you need to keep going. If this lesson has touched your heart and you want to continue exploring these mysteries of faith and the depth of the scriptures, please join our community by subscribing to the channel. Your presence here helps us grow and ensures that we can keep providing content that helps you find purpose and direction in your spiritual life. Do not forget to hit the notification bell so you never miss a new reflection. Consider sharing this video with a friend or family member who might be going through a difficult season or who needs a reminder of God's faithfulness. Sometimes, a simple message of hope can be the catalyst for someone else's transformation. Let your life be a testament to the fact that you have learned from the stories of the past and that you are choosing a future rooted in faith. We are here to support you in this journey, and we look forward to exploring the next chapter of these timeless biblical truths with you. May your heart be strengthened, may your focus be sharpened, and may your connection with the Creator grow deeper every single day. Remember that you were created for a purpose, and that purpose is found in the arms of the one who loves you more than you can imagine. Keep seeking, keep listening, and keep trusting in the promise that He who began a good work in you will carry it on to completion. Thank you for your time, your attention, and your commitment to your spiritual growth. We will see you in our next reflection as we continue to uncover the lessons that change lives.